Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So we've talked about it plenty here on the channel. Toyota has definitely made a conscious decision to shift toward woke culture, if you will, shifting toward DEI initiatives here within the US. So Toyota USA has made that shift. However, enough people like myself and people with a much larger footprint on social media have really made claim to this being an issue for Toyota. Their shift to support this woke culture or this hyper-liberal agenda has become abundantly clear. And well, Toyota corporate finally caught wind of it. Toyota in Japan came cracking down last week on Toyota USA, saying, hey, we need to put a halt to all this DEI and woke culture nonsense within the US. So I'll show a couple examples here in this video, but really want to dissect the message that came from corporate down to the dealerships and the employees here within the US to pivot away from that DEI and woke culture stuff and focus more on what has made the company great, right? And that is, what are their core values? Focusing on STEM education and workforce readiness, focusing on the things that are actually important for building vehicles and quality vehicles, not all that other nonsense. So it's great to see that Toyota corporate is listening and we're making a positive shift away from all that nonsense. So let's talk through it in this video. A large part of them shifting their focus is to pivot back to STEM-focused related events, workforce readiness events, and less about that diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So all DEI initiatives, when they infiltrate a company of any sort, they tend to fail, right? Which is what we saw with Bud Light, we saw it with Harley, Tractor Supply, John Deere. So many companies that really lean into that ultimately end up hurting themselves tremendously, and then they peel off real fast. So it's a lot of virtue signaling ultimately is what it is, but it really backfires. And well, Toyota was beginning to see that. There's this huge push against it, and it's not about not supporting that community, but it's just about not connecting Toyota to it. Toyota needs to focus on one thing, and that's building quality vehicles that are reliable and offer unmatched peace of mind. That's all they need to be focusing on. But instead, they're ostracizing half or more of their audience by supporting organizations like the HRC. The HRC is a third-party organization that is hyper-liberal, right? And it's not, they're not trying to hide it either. They're constantly trying to combat anything that is conservative, anything that is Republican. So by Toyota attaching their name to any kind of event and any kind of scoring system that the HRC supports, they're inadvertently ostracizing half of their possible customer base, right? So that is a huge part of the problem. And I gotta admit, it is super refreshing to read all the comments on any post highlighting this change from Toyota corporate. So many individuals are just wildly in support of this change and this pivot back to just focusing on what is truly important for the company. And that's not supporting pride parades. That is not supporting DEI events and really forcing that down everybody's throat. Someone actually came up in my last video and said that they used to work for Toyota Financial and they were required to put rainbow flags, pride flags up on their desk, come Pride Month, and if they didn't put it up on their desk, it was highly frowned upon, and you definitely felt it from management. So that kind of stuff, that does no one any good, and it's a shame to hear that Toyota did that. And the reason why DEI initiatives have failed tremendously amongst various companies and organizations is because it often has an inverse effect to it. They promote equality, they promote inclusion, but the second you voice up and say, hey, due to my own personal religious foundation or my personal values and moral compass, I don't fully support the whole woke agenda. If you voice that, if you say that out loud, automatically you're labeled as the bad guy. You're labeled as the bigot oftentimes, and that couldn't be further from the truth 9 times out of 10, right? But unfortunately, that has become the case. And then the fingers start getting pointed at you. And then that makes people afraid to speak up and speak up with their true personal opinions and feelings on things. So that is the inverse effect that we see. And that's why it has failed tremendously. We're forcing people to get on the train, get on the LGBTQ plus train. And if you don't, you're a bigot. Every single one of the comments, it's just people being so relieved. They're so relieved, not because they don't support those communities, but because they don't want it jammed down their throats. All they want to see from Toyota is them building quality vehicles like they always have historically. But ever since, I don't know if there's a correlation here, but ever since they really dove into the whole hyper-liberal, hyper-woke agenda, we started seeing a decline in the quality of their vehicles. I don't know if that is a correlation there, but people are seeing that. And well, based on the comments, people are hugely relieved that Toyota corporate finally stepped in and said, hey, no more of this nonsense. So that's great to see. Guys, and I remember the first time I posted a Toyota's Gone Full Woke video. I'll throw it up here on the screen if you hadn't seen it. I got so much backlash from that video, from the Toyota community, the Toyota YouTubers at large. They were so upset. They couldn't believe that I had posted that video. And that's truly how I felt. And well, based on a lot of your feedback and based on all the comments I'm seeing from Toyota Corporate's change on this matter, it appears to be the thoughts and feelings of so many people. It's just so many people who are originally too afraid to speak up on the matter. They're too afraid to just voice their thoughts on it, because they're afraid that they're going to get their hands slapped somehow. And a lot of people don't voice it up in their organization because they are afraid that they may lose their employment. It's gotten that bad. So all that to say, because so many people like me, I'm just a small voice comparatively to the others who have mentioned it. Robbie Starbuck, he brought it up and got millions of views on it and a ton of support. A lot of people were reaching out to Toyota Corporate directly after he posted that video talking through them going full woke. And well, look at this. We see a change. Toyota Corporate listened, and I love seeing that. So shout out to Toyota Corporate. Shout out to Toyota in Japan. Good job for keeping your guys here, your executives here in the USA in check. Good job. So I do find it funny that the same people who got bent out of shape about me doing a Toyota's Gone Woke video are the same people that are getting tremendous handouts from Toyota, getting the free press vehicles every single week, right? Getting all expenses paid trips to go see their unveiling events. Of course, they're going to get mad at that because they are kissing the ring and they're bowing down to every single command of theirs because they get a ton of handouts. So naturally that makes sense. Any company or organization worth their salt will be receptive to critical feedback. And that's what I try to offer in my videos. Obviously, you guys know I love Toyota. I'm surrounded by them. Right here, got the Sequoia, got the Tundra, the 4Runner in the garage. I love Toyota, and I offer this critical feedback to them because I want them to make positive changes. This is a prime example. Again, although we're just a very small footprint amongst the whole entire social media community, we were still a blip on the radar. And I love knowing that. I love knowing that they have made a positive change in the right direction based on their consumer feedback. And it doesn't take a genius to know that this entire woke agenda, this woke culture being pushed by Toyota USA, does not align one bit with the Japanese culture, right? They're not on board with that kind of stuff, but yet they allowed it to happen. But I'm super happy that they caught it. And they're like, hey, this is not jiving well with our values as an organization, as a company. We need to make a pivot, and they did. So I think they made it in time before getting totally neck deep in it. Now let's see what they do with it. All right, guys, I'll wrap up the video there. Obviously, we are still a very small channel in the big scheme of things on the whole social media front. And I understand that, my few videos that I've done on the matter maybe didn't go that far. I understand. But I can honestly look myself in the mirror and be proud knowing that I voiced up on the matter. I didn't just cower down and just roll with the punches, because that is so easy to do, right? If we just roll with it and like, oh, well, here comes Toyota, and we got a 4-cylinder Toyota Tacoma, I guess we gotta love it, we gotta hype it up, even though it's not that great. No, voice up against what you think is a detriment to the brand, and maybe, just maybe, there's a small chance that Toyota Corporate might actually hear you out and be like, wait a minute, I do think we need to make some changes to this new Tacoma that we just put out. Maybe we do need to offer a V6. Maybe we do need, and I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but maybe we need to make some adjustments to make it better for our customer. All that to say, voicing up and speaking your mind on something, even if it is controversial, do it. Right? Speak up. Freedom of speech is a beautiful thing. Even if you disagree with me, I appreciate you commenting on my videos. I'll do my best to engage with you, right? This doesn't need to be us versus them kind of a thing. It's just, hey, voice up. If it doesn't make sense, say it out loud, right? And Toyota should be focusing on one thing, and that's making quality, reliable vehicles that are simplistic and affordable. That's my thoughts on it. So let me know what your thoughts are on all of this. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune in. I really appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed. Until next time.